Episode 4 of Garage Bar. Welcome to the Garage Bar. It's been 2 weeks since the last update. Before that was 2 weeks. I said I was going to do it weekly. Turns out I'm not going to do it weekly. We had brew day this week. We brewed a New England IPA on Wednesday, and the brew day went pretty much without a hitch. Some new techniques done, not mastered. I'm not going to say we mastered them, but we done. I did a few new techniques, and the fermenter is in the fermentation chamber / fridge downstairs in the garage, and every time I go in, I'm just getting wafts and wafts of tropical fruit. So I'm really starting to look forward to having said beer in a glass. So we do the first few days on natural pressure, so 0.0 psi. Then tomorrow we're going to ramp the temperature up for 24 hours and apply 5 psi, not percent, and then drop the temperature again, dry hop it, leave for a couple of days, cold crash it, and get it into the keg. So that's what we're going to do next week. Hopefully have it kegged pretty soon, towards the end of next week, maybe this day next week it might be. It'll be quite a quick turnaround, because it's an IPA, then obviously it will be drunk quite young as well. Obviously there'll be no green to glass video in that one. I'm still sort of doing just single take videos on the phone until such time as well we know the story. So I'll talk a little bit this week about a new segment I'm going to call Videos I've Seen on YouTube. So obviously the Brewtube community is quite small, so everybody watches each other's videos. We leave each other comments and we just sort of chat nonsense to each other. I've seen a couple of videos this week that sort of tickled me a little bit. So a very good segue, Pat's Brewery. If you don't know him, check him out. Just check Pat's Brewery. It'll come up. English fella. Lucky enough to receive some beer from him by this time last year. 3 fantastic tasting beers. But he also did a hazy IPA, New England IPA, green to glass video, which was released maybe today, maybe yesterday, but certainly this week. Some brew footage there. It's not really a spoiler for me to tell you that it didn't quite go according to plan, because the title of the video is Hazy IPA went wrong, or something to that effect. And it's the first of 2 videos that I'm going to talk about where the initial pour of the beer, I just sat there and went, oh no! He had taken such care of the beer, and when he poured it, you could see from the camera angle that it had oxidized, and instead of getting a vibrant juice coloured beer, he got a pint of mud. I think most brewers, home brewers anyway, when they brew a New England IPA or even certain other styles, I think everybody's had an oxidized beer at some point. I've had the exact same as you, Pat, where it looked like absolute dung, but the smell, the aroma and the flavour maintained the fruitiness and the tropicalness, but it's quite hard to drink. I know from my experience that if you don't get that drunk in the next couple of days, the aroma and the taste fade away to nothing. I actually thought, because you're so dark, I actually thought that had already happened and that you were about to get a mouthful of wet cardboard, but thankfully for you it didn't happen that way. So I watched that today, and then that panicked me me a little bit because I'm also doing a New England IPA. I've only done one, maybe two of those before. Certainly one by design and one I used a New England IPA yeast by mistake. That shouldn't have really affected it too much, but something went wrong and it got oxidised and it went that muddy colour. But I've only done a New England IPA once before deliberately, which worked out okay for me, thankfully. But it panicked me now. I have a dry hop to do. I don't have one of those fancy hop bongs. I don't have the dry hops in on magnets already. So I am going to have to introduce some oxygen somewhere to dry hop this beer. And because I'm looking for the biotransformation and all that stuff, I can't even use the yeast gatherer tube to push it up. So I'm going to have to think of something. I think it's going to have to be very carefully put the dry hops in and then just purge that the whole fermenter. I'll waste a bit of gas, but it's better that than say get an oxidized beer. I always do a closed transfer. I'm going to be particularly with that. I'm going to flush the tubes with CO2, and I'm just going to basically do everything I can to get rid of oxygen in this beer. But yeah, I've really got it for you, Pat. Hopefully, I think you said in the video you're going to brew it again. The recipe is based on the Dude brews, Rick Williams, award-winning New England IPA or hazy IPA. So yeah, definitely worth doing again. Get those hops put in, get it, and do it again, man. Yeah. And then the second video I watched today was a couple of miles that way. Big Banana Brew and Stephen Burton, who was doing a comparison video between his kegged bitter and a bottle of bitter that he had bottle conditioned. He was a little bit disappointed with the keg. I think he thinks it's starting to deteriorate a little bit. It was a bit hazy or whatever. But the second thing, when he went for the bottle conditioned one, it reminded me of a video I did a few years back in relation to a bottle of stout that I had kept. I think it's in my shorts as well. I think I've seen that particular bit as a short. So, but basically it was overcarbonated, and his didn't erupt out of the bottle the way mine did, but it certainly erupted in the glass. So that was a bit entertaining. Just trying to get that under control. I'd have to comment there, Steve, as well. I think part of it was maybe, he mentioned that he'd left the beer in a sort of warm environment. That's what we're looking for, a warm environment, which would, probably get the yeast. Whilst we were looking for secondary fermentation to get carbonation, it probably went on a little bit too much, hence the overcarbonation and hence the eruption in the glass. But I have to admit, it certainly made me loll, made me laugh quite a bit and reminisce. So just shows you, homebrewers, whether they're vastly experienced, such as Pat or Stephen, or whether they're idiots like myself, we all make simple mistakes sometimes. We all share the journey and share the experience. I watched a couple of videos this week from my twin, my brother from another mother, Brewbit Rick Shaw. Yeah, I'm getting my Ricks mixed up. Yeah, Brewbit Rick Shaw, sorry. Basically his videos this week, he did a lager using M24 yeast, which is I can't remember the name of the company, but it's basically something similar to Nova lager, and he was doing that, getting it in. So it was a Pilsner lager, which was quite entertaining, quite a good looking beer at the end. And then video, so I'm skipping one out, but the video I watched today was just an update, something similar to what I'm doing now, like a talking head kind of thing. And he poured a pint of the Pilsner and it was even clearer than it had been, and again, it looks like a fantastic pint. But both Rick's videos this week have been about getting presents from other brewers. He got a glass today. Now I didn't quite catch who he got it from, and there's a whole story behind that. And then he got some goodies last week from America, which was pretty cool. So yeah. So guys, check those videos out. Brew with Rick Shaw, I think everybody knows him. Big Rana, Stephen Burton, one of the OG Brewtube Facebook aficionados. And then Pat's Brewery, another fantastic, well, from the experience that I had with the beers that I had, another fantastic brewer. But I want to talk very quickly about this beer. I've drunk this the last couple of times on camera. I haven't really gone too much into it really. It was a failed experiment in so much that the beer that I wanted, this isn't it. But it's a nice enough beer. I didn't really like drinking it. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but it's a pleasant enough beer, and it's fruity, and it's decent carbonation, light body, blah blah blah, all of those tasting note stuff. It's got all of those things, but it never really caught my imagination until this week. I don't know what it's been like where you guys are, but right here it has been scorcher week. I mentioned a couple of weeks back I'm changing roles in my job. I finished on Tuesday. I don't go back to my old job, new job, whatever way you want to put it. I don't go back to Wednesday. I've had a week off, and the sun has been blistering all week. And I've had a few of these sitting on the patio, feet up, just loving life. And this has really come into its own as a sunshine beer. Now, it's not the Americans would call it a lawnmower beer. It's not sessionable, it's not crushable. After a couple of these, they are quite sickening. But for a pint to just sip and savour when it's ice cold and you're just sitting there loving life, this beer has been incredible for that. And it has, as it's aged, because I think I brewed this back in February, and it has, since it's aged, there was some harsh notes with it, and they've kind of faded away, and it's become more balanced. And considering it was meant to be like an IPA type beer, you are meant to drink them quite young, so to let this age for a couple of, a month and a half, I guess, has really brought it into its own, which I'm quite surprised about. And then I started thinking about it. It's not really that surprising, because the grain bill of this was, I can't remember how much I told you about it, but the grain bill of this is basically a Pilsner recipe that I've used before. It's the brew, sorry, it's not brew anything, it's Big Banana's Nelson Loves series, the grain bill that he done with that. It was just different yeast and different hops put in, a lot of different hops. It never cleared up like a lager shoe or like a Pilsner shoe, but it was never meant to. It was meant to be an IPA. But it has allowed, with the Pilsner malt, the wheat malt and what have you, it has allowed a bit of aging and has actually come into its own. So I think the moral of the story is, don't necessarily kill your darlings. If the beer is reasonable, like, I think in my early tastings of this, I was like, it's not great, but it's not terrible. Maybe just let it age for a wee while. You never know what comes around the corner. I might brew a summer beer later that I don't like in the summer. Leave it a month, it becomes autumn, and lo and behold, it's amazing. I don't know. But yeah, I'm quite enjoying this beer at the minute. Of course, the weather's due to change tomorrow, and I'll be back on Irish Red because it'll be raining, windy, miserable, and that's when I drink my Irish Red to pick me up. Anyway guys, just another sort of 15 minutes of me talking nonsense. Sorry about the echo. I do have a lapel mic, but I sort of last minute plans to do this video and I haven't charged it. So I'm going to go and do that now, and next week's video, perhaps with a neat bit in my hand. Next week's video will be with a lapel mic. Let's see if that helps with the echoes. I'm going to get some curtains put in. Maybe a couple more soft furnishings for the bench there, and a few other bits and pieces. Of a few down that end is going to be a gym. The gym mat's down now, so I'm going to bring my weight can't down this. It's too, there is a bitterness to it still, so you can't down it. So I'll not try. I'm going to pour myself another one and then I'm going to go to bed. Anyway, take care guys, good night.